Good day everyone, especially to my fellow students who are watching this video. Here we are again to feel our eagerness for new knowledge and new learning. For today's episode of Understanding Culture, Society, and Politics, we will discuss the Module 4, the government programs and suggestions in addressing social inequalities. As we discuss our module's lesson, don't forget to use and comment the hashtag UCSP Module 4 and hashtag suggestions in addressing social inequalities. But before we proceed to our proper discussions, here are the following objectives that we aim at the end of our lessons.
A. Explain government programs and initiatives in addressing social inequalities. B. Discuss how to lessen the impact of social inequalities. And C. Suggest ways on how we could address social inequalities.
I know that at the end of our discussion, you can be able to identify and explain the government efforts in addressing social inequality issues.
According to Merriam-Webster, inequality is the quality of being unequal or uneven, such as social disparity, disparity of distribution or opportunity, or in other words, a state or condition in which different things do not occur in equal amounts. In the previous lessons, we have learned that inequality in the context of social sciences is the apparent disparity of the distribution of wealth and uneven dissemination of opportunity in the realm of politics, job opportunities, and in other areas of life. This division among resources bring about issues among the classes which may lead to bigger problems. Some groups in our society enjoy greater status, power, and wealth than other groups which resulted from social stratification.
Social inequality. What is social inequality? The best description of what social inequality is the uneven distribution of wealth in our country, where few rich people had more, and the less fortunate people have less in life. We often structure society by the way we divide people to different social classes, labeling the society as the upper class, middle class, and the lower of working class. These classes were often made on the basis of their jobs and income. One thing that we know is that as they go up in a social ladder, they often have better access to education, healthcare, and other services such as housing, electricity, technology, clean water, and good nutrition. Social inequality was also very evident in gender too. We know that being female carries with them certain disadvantages to social equality, and that female always experience differences in terms of pay from their work, and were not given equal opportunities to be promoted to higher positions in a private company or public institution. One of the best examples of social inequality brought about by this structure are felt by our monetary group of people. They tend to have greater degree of inequality experience as manifested by their lower income, lower education opportunities, reduced access to health care. Aside from our minorities, very poor people also experience greater social disadvantages. And we have equations here. What will happen when we have high rates of social inequality? People might feel that they are socially excluded and politically disempowered. This feeling may potentially create a combination of things which can lead to civil unrest and may tempt people to do criminal activities.
The government, having identified inequalities, tries to formulate viable projects and initiatives to support research and programs, policies, and practices that reduce inequality in different sectors of the society. In the Philippines, for instance, the gap between rich and poor regions widens even more. To address this, the National Economic and Development Authority, or NEDA, calls for higher spending on infrastructure and social services, this is one of the many social inequalities identified by the government, which are either already addressed with existing programs or still being studied for possible formulation of viable projects. Here are the following government-initiated programs that has developed to help alleviate social inequalities in the country. The Philippines Conditional Cash Transfer Program, Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program or 4Ps, is under the government agency of Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD. Education for All or EFA is under the government institution of Department of Education. Service Delivery Network is under the government institution of Department of Health. Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program or CARP is under the government agency of Department of Agrarian Reform. Philippines Conditional Cash Transfer Program, Pantawid Pamilyang Filipino Program or 4Ps, is a human development measure of the national government that provides conditional cash grants to the poorest of the poor to improve the health, nutrition, and the education of the children aged 0 to 18. Education for All or EFA is articulated in the country's national goals, objectives, policies, and strategies as well as the regional programs for implementation for the first decade of its movement. It thus included the early childhood development, universalization of quality primary education, and alternative learning system. Every family in a local health system is designated to a health service provider or health facility within the network to ensure sustained access to quality health care across political, geographical, and administrative boundaries. Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program or CARP is a developmental program provides for the disposal of public alienable and disposable lands with the intent to open up frontier lands, while the redistributive programs involves the redistribution of property or rights on private agricultural lands and the abolition of agricultural tenancy. Despite this, although people recognize that no single program or project could actually lead to major changes, the government should still assure that the measures it is taking are toward approaches, programs, policies, and practices that work to reduce prevailing inequality in the country.
What can we do about social inequality? The government has the duty to wind down if they cannot make it, even all these forms of social inequalities. It is one of the most important functions they carry out. Their scope of power involves the exercise of authority in the production, distribution, and use of resources. This describes who gets what and under what circumstances. Variety of government schemes to allow financial support of the social support such as food stamps for individuals facing considerable hardships. They can try and identify and remove barriers to healthcare and education for people for facing hardships. They can carry out further research into this vulnerable population to help understand their needs and try to figure outside interventions where they can make a differences into lives of these peoples and allow them to integrate better to our and become productive members of society. Addressing social inequality was not the role of the government at all. Other people and organizations may take initiative to come together to push for the advancement of their common interest by means of collective actions. These organizations, known as the civil society organization and non-governmental organization, are considered as non-state, non-profit, and voluntary organizations playing an important role in addressing problems of the quality. They were considered as the third sector of the society who work side by side with government and business sectors. One example are the private and business foundation and independent NGOs of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation helping the poor in the developing and undeveloped countries. Red Cross Philippines provides emergencies relief, health needs, and basic needs assistance of those who are in need. Trade Union of the Philippines, which provides health and legal assistance to our working class who experience injustice and maltreatment in the workplace. Social inequality remains a problem and should be everybody concerned. Global peace will not be possible for as long as problems arising from the inequality persisted, as what Nelson Mandela of South Africa said. I quoted, as long as poverty, injustice, gross inequality persist in our world, none of us can truly rest. So make your move and do your share.
Little. Ryan Little.